There's a truth that the ancient Stoics discovered over 2,000 years ago. A truth so powerful, so uncomfortably accurate, that most people today are still too afraid to face it. Marcus Aurelius wrote it in his private journal, a journal he never intended for the world to read. Epictetus spoke it from a life of chains, as a slave who had nothing but his mind. Seneca whispered it to Roman emperors who held the fate of millions in their hands. And that truth is this: your circle is your destiny. Not your talent, not your potential, not how hard you work at 2 a.m., not your vision boards, not your prayers, your circle. The 5 people closest to you right now are quietly writing the story of who you will become in 5 years. Let that sit.
If you look around your life right now, your relationships, your habits, your mental state, your ambitions, and something feels off, if you feel like you're running in place, like you're exhausted but have nothing to show for it, like you're giving everything and gaining nothing, the answer is not inside you. The answer is standing right next to you. Today, I'm going to show you the 3 types of people that Stoic philosophy, tested across centuries of war, loss, power, and suffering, identified as the greatest threats to a human life. Not enemies with weapons, not strangers in dark alleys. People who smile at you, people who text you, people who sit at your dinner table. Stay with me until the end, because part 3 is the one that's going to hit you the hardest. And I promise you, most people never see it coming. Before we name these 3 types of people, we need to understand why the circle matters so much. Because most people hear remove toxic people and they roll their eyes. They think that's just motivational fluff. That's just a quote for Instagram. But this is not a quote. This is neuroscience. This is sociology. This is 2,000 years of human observation compressed into a warning. Here's what we know. The human brain contains what scientists call mirror neurons, cells in your brain that literally fire in response to what the people around you do, feel, and believe. When you spend time around angry people, your brain physically rewires itself to produce anger faster. When you're surrounded by people who quit easily, your brain begins to normalize quitting. When you're surrounded by people who complain about life as though it's happening to them rather than for them, you begin to adopt that worldview. This is not weakness. This is biology. This is how humans survived for 100,000 years, by synchronizing with the tribe. But here's the danger in the modern world. The tribe is no longer selected by survival. It's selected by accident, by geography, by who happened to sit next to you in 3rd grade, by who your parents were friends with, by convenience, by proximity. Seneca said it directly: associate with those who will make a better man of you, not those who are comfortable, not those who are familiar, those who make you better. And that means we must first identify those who are making us worse. The first type of person you must remove is what I call, borrowing from the Stoic concept of destructive association, the energy vampire. Now, I want you to understand something crucial. The energy vampire is not always a villain. They don't always have bad intentions. They're not twirling a mustache and plotting your downfall. In fact, many energy vampires are people who genuinely care about you, people you love, people who love you back. But love is not enough. Impact matters more than intention. Here is how you identify an energy vampire. Think of the last 5 conversations you had with a specific person in your life. After each one of those conversations, how did you feel? Not during, after. When you got in your car, when you walked back to your room, when you put down the phone. Did you feel elevated or depleted? This is the test.
The Stoics were obsessed with what they called the economy of time. Because they understood something we've forgotten in the age of streaming and endless distraction. Time is the only resource that cannot be replaced, cannot be earned back, cannot be stored. Every hour you spend with someone who drains you is an hour you never, ever get back. And energy vampires are masters of taking your time, your mental space, your emotional energy, and they replace it with nothing. They take your most productive hours and fill them with their problems, their drama, their endless crises. Crises that somehow never get solved, no matter how much energy you pour into them. In the next part, I'm going to show you the 3 specific behaviors that separate an energy vampire from simply a person going through a hard time.
There are 3 behaviors that define the energy vampire, and once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Behavior 1, the chronic crisis. Energy vampires live in a permanent state of emergency. There is always a crisis. There is always a disaster. There is always something terrible happening. And somehow, it always requires your attention, your resources, your emotional investment. And when one crisis resolves, another one appears within days. Ask yourself honestly, is there someone in your life whose problems never get better, who asks for your advice constantly but never takes it? This is the chronic crisis pattern. Behavior 2, the invisible score. Energy vampires keep score, but they never show you the scoreboard. They do small favors for you and then collect on them at the most inconvenient moments. They make you feel quietly guilty for having ambitions, for being happy, for succeeding, without ever saying so directly. Epictetus called this the hidden chain, the kind of bondage that doesn't come from locks and bars, but from obligation and guilt.
Behavior 3, the suffering identity. The most dangerous trait of an energy vampire is that their suffering has become their identity. They do not want solutions. Solutions would take away the thing that defines them. Their pain, their victimhood, their hardship, it has become who they are. And if you threaten that identity, if you challenge it, if you push back, if you hold them accountable, they will punish you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." He meant, focus on what can actually be changed. The energy vampire has made a home in the unchangeable past, and they will drag you there with them if you let them.
Now we come to the second type, and this one is, in my view, the most dangerous of the 3. Because the energy vampire at least shows their cards eventually. You can feel the depletion. Your body warns you. But the dream killer? The dream killer comes disguised as reason, as practicality, as love. The dream killer is the person in your life who, every single time you share a vision, a goal, a possibility, responds with a but. That's a great idea, but have you thought about the risk? I support you, but most people who try that fail. I just want what's best for you, but is this really realistic? Notice what they never say. They never say, you can't do this. That would be too obvious. That would be too easy to dismiss. Instead, they wrap their doubt in the language of care. They season their skepticism with just enough concern to make you feel like you're the irrational one for believing in yourself. The ancient Stoics had a specific concept for this kind of person. They called them the corruptors of reason. Not people who attack your logic, but people who quietly undermine your will, your willingness to try, your willingness to risk, your willingness to believe that a different life is possible for you. And here is the cruel irony of the dream killer. Almost always, they are not evil. They are afraid. They are people who gave up on their own dreams, sometimes for very good reasons, sometimes for very small ones. And they have unconsciously decided that if they can't have it, the dream itself must be dangerous. Your success threatens their surrender. The dream killer operates through 3 specific weapons. Learn to recognize these weapons and you become almost immune to them. Weapon 1, the statistical attack. Do you know how many people try that and fail? This is the weapon of irrelevant probability. The fact that most restaurants fail has nothing to do with your restaurant. The fact that most startups don't survive has nothing to do with your execution. Statistics describe populations. You are an individual. And individuals who prepare obsessively, who adapt relentlessly, who get back up faster than they fall, they do not follow population averages. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." The dream killer weaponizes difficulty to eliminate the daring before it even begins. Weapon 2, the timing trap. It's not the right time. This is perhaps the most insidious of all dream killer weapons, because sometimes it's true. And that small truth is used to smuggle in a much larger lie. The truth is that preparation matters.
The lie is that there will one day be a perfect time. There won't be. There never has been. Every person who changed their life, built something real, became someone extraordinary, did it in imperfect conditions. Weapon 3, the comparison cage. Look at person's name. They tried something similar and look what happened. The dream killer uses the failures of others as a cage to keep you contained. But Epictetus, who was literally born a slave, didn't look at other slaves who had tried to gain their freedom and failed. He looked at the idea of freedom itself, and he chose it. Remove the dream killer, not because they are bad people, but because you only get one life, and they are quietly helping you waste it. Before we get to the third type, the most subtle and the most painful, I need to give you the philosophical foundation that holds all of this together. Because I don't want you to walk away from this video thinking that Stoicism is about becoming cold, becoming isolated, becoming a loner who trusts no one. That is the opposite of what the Stoics taught. The Stoics believed deeply in community, in friendship, in human connection, but they were precise about the quality of connection. Seneca, who had one of the richest social lives in ancient Rome, wrote this: "Withdraw into yourself as much as you can, with those who are going to make you better. Let those in who you yourself can make better." Read that again slowly. It's a two-way filter. Not just find people better than you, but also find people you can lift. Because human flourishing in the Stoic view is not solo. It's not about escaping humanity. It's about curating it with wisdom and with intention. The Stoics also understood something that modern psychology has only recently confirmed, that we do not simply have a character. We construct it daily through the choices we make about who we spend time with, what conversations we allow into our minds, what standards we accept as normal. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and the quality of your thoughts is heavily shaped by the quality of the voices you allow into your life." So we are not removing people from cruelty. We are removing them from clarity, from a clear understanding that every life has a limited number of hours, and those hours must be invested, not wasted. Now, the third type, the hardest one. The third type of person you must remove from your life is the comfortable anchor. And I want to warn you right now, this part is going to be uncomfortable. Because the comfortable anchor is not a toxic person in the traditional sense. They don't drain your energy. They don't attack your dreams. They are, in many ways, good people. But they are anchoring you to the person you used to be, at the exact moment in your life when you need to become the person you're capable of being. Here's the core dynamic. You have been changing, growing, whether you recognize it consciously or not, through hard experiences, through books, through failure,
through this very journey of self-examination. You are not the same person you were 2 years ago or 5 years ago. Your standards are higher. Your vision is clearer. Your tolerance for mediocrity is lower. But the comfortable anchor knew the old you. They were comfortable with the old you. And so, without even meaning to, they keep pulling you back. They reminisce constantly about the past, the days when you were more relaxed, less driven, more available. They interpret your growth as a kind of abandonment. When you say, "I can't come out tonight, I have to work on this," they don't hear discipline. They hear rejection. When you change your eating habits, your spending habits, your social habits, they feel it as a criticism of their own choices, even if you say nothing at all. Your evolution makes them feel left behind. And because they are good people, because you have history with them, because you have love for them, you begin to shrink. You go back out when you should be working. You stop talking about your goals because it creates awkward silence. You start performing an older, smaller version of yourself just to keep the peace. That is the anchor. That is the weight that holds you underwater. There are 3 signs that someone has become a comfortable anchor in your life. Sign 1, you become a smaller version of yourself around them. This is the most definitive test. Not whether you enjoy their company, you probably do. Not whether they're good people, they probably are. But who do you become when you're around them? Do you talk about your goals freely? Do you feel expansive, curious, driven? Or do you find yourself editing yourself, hiding certain parts of your life, downplaying your wins to avoid tension? If you are shrinking, they are an anchor. Sign 2, the relationship only works on their terms. The comfortable anchor is not usually a controlling person consciously, but the relationship has quietly developed a set of unspoken rules, and most of those rules favor stagnation. The rules say, we talk about the same things we always talked about. We do the same things we always did.
We don't challenge each other. We don't hold each other to anything. We just exist together. And if you try to introduce growth, a new idea, a new standard, a new conversation, the friction is immediate and inexplicable. Sign 3, you feel guilty for outgrowing them. This is the anchor's most powerful hold on you. The guilt. The sense that by growing, by changing, by becoming, you are somehow betraying the relationship. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Extend that to relationships. It is not betrayal to grow. It is betrayal to not grow. To yourself, to your potential, to the life you were given. The Stoics were clear. You cannot carry every relationship through every season of your life, and trying to do so will cost you the most important relationship of all, the one with your own highest self.
Now comes the question everyone is thinking, but few people ask out loud. How do you actually do this? Because in theory, removing toxic people sounds simple. In practice, these are real human beings with feelings. Some of them are family. Some of them have been your friends for decades. Some of them love you in their own imperfect way. The Stoic approach is not the Hollywood approach. It is not the dramatic speech, the ultimate confrontation, the public unfollow. That is theater. Theater that often creates more pain than it resolves. The Stoic approach is what I call the strategic fade. Seneca described it as retiring from the crowd gradually. Not a door slam, a quiet withdrawal, a recalibration. Step 1, audit your time ruthlessly. For 2 weeks, track every hour you spend with each of the important people in your life. Not obsessively, just honestly. At the end of 2 weeks, you will have a clear picture of who is getting your most valuable resource and what they are giving you in return.
This is not a coldly transactional view of friendship. It is the beginning of clarity. Step 2, reduce access before you reduce relationship. You do not have to end relationships to remove their negative impact. You can love someone and also choose not to give them daily access to your energy, your thoughts, your plans. Begin by reducing frequency. Weekly becomes monthly. Monthly becomes occasional. This is not cruelty. This is wisdom. Step 3, fill the space with intention. Nature abhors a vacuum. So does the human psyche. Every hour you reclaim from a draining relationship must be filled, not with isolation, but with better association. Find communities, mentors, friendships built around who you are becoming rather than who you used to be. The Stoics were clear. The goal is not absence of people. The goal is better people.
Imagine for a moment what your life would look like if every person in your inner circle was someone who challenged you, who held you to a higher standard, who celebrated your growth rather than resenting it, who brought energy rather than taking it, who believed in your capacity to become more. This is not a fantasy. This is a choice, a series of choices made deliberately over time. The Stoics gave us a framework they called amor fati, love of fate. The idea that you should not merely accept what life brings, but embrace it, learn from it, use it as fuel. And I want to extend that concept to relationships. You are not a victim of your social circle. You chose it, even if those choices were made unconsciously, out of habit, out of convenience, out of comfort. And what has been chosen unconsciously can be rechosen consciously. Here is what changes when you do this. When you remove the energy vampire, you will be shocked by how much mental bandwidth you suddenly have. Thoughts you couldn't finish, ideas you couldn't develop, creative energy that was constantly being redirected into other people's problems, suddenly it's yours again. When you remove the dream killer, you will hear your own voice more clearly. The voice that says, yes, this is possible. The voice that has been getting quieter and quieter under the weight of borrowed doubt. That voice gets louder when the doubters leave the room. And when you create distance from the comfortable anchor, you will feel something that might initially feel like loneliness, but that is actually the spaciousness of growth. The Stoics knew this feeling. It is the feeling of a man who has set down a heavy bag he forgot he was carrying. You will feel lighter. You will feel more like yourself, or rather, more like the future self that has always been waiting inside you.
We started this conversation with a truth that the Stoics discovered 2,000 years ago. Your circle is your destiny. And now, having walked through all three types, the energy vampire who takes without giving, the dream killer who arms doubt with care, and the comfortable anchor who holds you to a version of yourself you've already outgrown, I want to ask you something directly. Who came to mind? Not hypothetically, not in the abstract. Whose face came into your mind during this video? Whose name appeared when I described those patterns? Because your gut already knows. Your gut knew before I said a single word. Your gut has been knowing for months, maybe years. The Stoics did not believe in endless deliberation. They believed in action aligned with wisdom. Knowing is not enough. Deciding is not enough. You must act.
So here is your assignment, starting today. Write down 3 names, the 3 people in your life who fit the patterns we discussed. Just write them down. You don't have to do anything dramatic. You don't have to make any calls. Just the act of writing them down, of naming what you've been sensing, is the beginning of reclaiming your life. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, began every morning by reminding himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Your circle is not outside your control. It feels that way. It feels like it was built by circumstance, by history, by obligation, but it is yours to shape. And shaping it consciously, courageously, with stoic clarity may be the single highest leverage decision you ever make. Now, if this video gave you something, if something landed, if something shifted, if a name came to mind that you've been ignoring, then I need you to do two things. First, hit that like button. Not for me, for the algorithm, so that this message reaches the person who needs it most right now. And second, if you haven't subscribed to MarcusMode yet, ask yourself why not. Because every week I come back with ideas that challenge you, provoke you, and push you closer to the version of yourself you actually want to be. If that's something you want, and I think you do because you're still here, then click that subscribe button before you close this tab. I'll see you in the next one. Stay stoic, stay selective, stay dangerous.